again this week. I've got a treat for you. I am joined today by one of the alumni from the Coaching Business Academy, Becca Jermy. Becca's fantastic. I've known Becca for a little while. She's an amazing coach and she is now growing an amazing business. So Becca is a communication coach for entrepreneurs and she has a passion for helping them build really authentic and trustworthy relationships in their business. She has a real focus on client retention, which is one of the reasons I wanted to get her onto the podcast, because I think this is such an important and often overlooked aspect of growing a sustainable business. Becca has grown and led her own successful wellness business for over 10 years, and she really understands the challenges of navigating difficult conversations. She really gets the profound effects that can have on our well-being and our performance. So drawing from her own experience, Becca now coaches others using the same really powerful techniques and tools that transformed her own business. I think one of the huge lessons from our conversation today is around, your client retention is directly linked to the level of the service you give your clients. This is a great conversation. This is one that's going to have you really scratching your head and thinking, actually, what can I do better in this space? So without further ado, let me introduce you to Becca. Let's go. Welcome to the Heads Together podcast. I'm Jill Mokes and I am obsessed with cutting through the noise when it comes to growing your business. Each week, via intimate coaching conversations and inspirational stories, I share what it really takes to get the results you want in a way that feels right to you. I am all about attracting higher ticket opportunities, building authentic relationships, and creating the abundant, full-fat version of your dream business. I mean, how many of us have beavered away creating a light version of what we really want? The thing is, I honestly believe when you're outstanding at what you do, there is no limit to what you can achieve. So, are you ready to put our heads together and make it happen? Let's go. Hey, Becca, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, Jill, I'm very excited to be on your podcast.
I'm very excited to have you. So, this is part of this series that I'm doing where it's a little bit self-indulgent because I feel like I'm just getting to interview these people, everyone that I've got to know so well as we've gone through the academy. So it's wonderful. And thank you so much for being a part of it. I would love us to kick off with you kind of telling everyone a little bit about who you are and what you do, and a bit about the story that's brought you to the kind of coaching that you now do.
Yeah, so my name's Becca. And so it all started when I was younger. Like maybe a lot of people listening, I would yo-yo diet. And I went through to university and I did a dance degree. And what I really wanted for my children is to not have that same pressure and to have the knowledge around food and nutrition. And so, long story short, I worked at a bank and it really wasn't for me. And what I really wanted to do was be a personal trainer. And I became self-employed. So the last 10 years, I've been personal training. And then when we went into lockdown, I have for the last 10 years as well been doing a lot of personal development. And in lockdown, I was doing an intensive communication program. And in that program, you do a lot of coaching. And that's when I realized that I absolutely love coaching. And my favorite thing about coaching is watching other people transform.
There's nothing like it, is there? Just nothing like it. I always say we have the best job ever as coaches. Number one, getting paid to have interesting conversations. Mm-hmm. Number two, getting to watch that transformation in someone else is so fulfilling.
Yeah, I just absolutely love it. And the other thing is that when I've looked back is what I've really enjoyed and what I've loved. Like one of the reasons that I moved from the bank to my own business is because of the customer service. Like I love customer service. And I think that everybody should have great customer service.
Yes.
When I have my own business, it's something that I can make sure that I'm implementing.
Mm.
And I know you're the same with your business as well.
Absolutely. Do you know what's so funny you saying that? Because that's one of the most fulfilling things for me in having my own business, is having that control over the customer service. And conversely, that was one of the most frustrating things for me when I worked in insurance, where I just felt like we were giving terrible customer service. I had no power to influence that at the time. And it's the complete opposite of now, where everything can be done however I want it to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we're both just control freaks, aren't we?
Yeah. And I think that's what I get to do in my coaching as well, is to show others, like, part of the client retention is basically customer service. It's making sure that you're giving excellent customer service.
Mm. You mentioned the client retention thing there. And I think this is so interesting to me, because I know, like, the work that I've done with you in the academy, a lot of that was around this kind of realization that, hang on a minute, you are an absolute expert in this specific part of having a business. And that's really one of the reasons I was so desperate to have you on the podcast, was that I don't think this is an issue for any particular niche either. I mean, you happen to work with people who own fitness businesses predominantly, but actually any business owner, any coach, anyone listening to this who has a business is going to benefit from this.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, because it's the thing that I see people just do so badly. They spend all this energy trying to constantly bring in new clients when they've got these existing clients that they could keep for so much longer if they knew how to. So that's why I was really keen to have you on. So was it that realization you had for yourself as well around, so number one, the kind of personal satisfaction it gives you to give this really good customer service, because that's so aligned with your values. Also that realization that, hang on a minute, you know, if we don't do that, we're missing a trick really, aren't we?
Firstly, thank you so much, because until I had that initial conversation, like, I hadn't even joined the academy, and I had this great conversation with you about my niche around client retention, and you really highlighted that for me. So I really appreciate it. I think when I look back on all the stuff we've done in the academy, when I look back, I think that I always just wanted to give good customer service. I don't think it was around particularly client retention. I think that was just the bonus.
That's the side effect.
Yeah, the side effect. Like, we had a conversation, and that's when I realized, actually, I do have great client retention in my business.
And that is not a coincidence, folks.
No, it's not.
For everyone listening, that is not a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
That's what great customer service does for your business. That's so interesting, that realization that, oh, hang on, those two things are absolutely linked. That customer service drops, your client retention will drop. Work on your customer service, your retention's going to go up. Tell me how you kind of focus on that with clients now and really work on that.
So one of a great thing is around being relatable. Like, when you talk about in the academy around, like, your brand story and around your journey, when I was doing personal training, for example, people could relate to me because they came to me for weight loss, or they came to me for weight training or whatever. And I could relate to them not feeling comfortable in a gym, or them not knowing how to lose weight, them feeling frustrated and feeling uncomfortable, and all those things. And I think it's that being relatable with people.
Is there something there about that piece that we've had to do as coaches, which is really getting under the skin of your ideal clients, really understanding them at a whole deeper level? Is that something that you go through with your clients?
So we do touch upon those things, but I think they're very much at the beginning part. So I did a lot of that with you in the academy, and it was really beneficial. Then it's when you're actually working with the client and mastering your communication with the client as well. So it's also things like making sure that you have set up the expectation.
Oh, that's a biggie, surely.
Yeah, so people know, like, today, like, I knew that you would meet me at a certain time. I knew how to meet you. I knew what to expect. Yeah, and you've prepped your client. one of the things that I really saw beneficial in my personal training business, which I teach in my coaching, is, for example, I remember this one client, she was new. And when she came to meet me, a few days before, I'd said, are you still okay to meet on Thursday at 10 o'clock? You can park here. Make sure you bring this. This is what we're going to be doing. It's like coaching. It doesn't matter what business you're in. I think that if someone's new to it or they're new to you, they don't know what to expect, you're less likely to get someone even turn up because they get nervous and they feel uncomfortable and they don't want to be embarrassed.
You're so right. One of the things that has put me off before when I've kind of maybe signed up for something, not just say like joining a gym. Joining a gym is a perfect example for this really for me, because the number of times that I've kind of mustered up the courage to go, but then if it's such a stupid thing, but if I don't know like where to go for the changing rooms or like what I'm meant to do first, you feel like untethered. I was really conscious of that with the academy as well, for example. I want someone to make sure that when they're being onboarded, they get a welcome email that tells them, okay, start here, log in here, say hello in the community, do this, add the calls to your calendar. That kind of level of customer service, it doesn't really matter what business you're in. You've hit the nail on the head. It's about making the client at ease in terms of knowing what their next step is. Mm-hmm. So that they're not floundering around thinking, gosh, shit, where am I supposed to be? Or what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it would be easy to hear that and think, well, obviously you have to do that. But there are so many people that don't do that well.
Mm-hmm. Want to reference, because I was listening to one of your podcasts the other day and you talk about this whole process and you talk about that onboarding. So if anyone hasn't listened to that podcast, definitely recommend it, because you go through those steps and it's almost like a checklist that you have.
Spoiler alert, I've just recorded one on offboarding as well.
Oh, have you?
Yes, the partner episode. So I'll link to both of them in the show notes of this one. Thank you. Yeah.
Offboarding is really important as well, because a client needs to know that they can complete with you. I think so many people are so scared that they're going to lose their clients. And this is how I used to be as well, that you almost like want to keep them.
Yeah.
But then what you find is if you can finish with a client and they feel comfortable, they might come back. They might refer you.
Absolutely. And you can have a what's next offer, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to completely round off one engagement and then say to the client, a natural next step now for you might be this program or this membership or this kind of accountability pod or whatever it is. But I think you're right. I think, and a lot of coaches will do this, they will keep the coaching engagement going too long in the same format, when really it's actually a better experience for the client to round off that engagement and then move on to the next step, because they feel like they've got progression as well.
Mm-hmm. You might want to change for coaching, for example, you might want to change the number of sessions you're doing a month.
Yes.
Like it might be beneficial for you and the client to have a different agreement as well.
Do you think it's important to be quite transparent around that in terms of, you know, in your experience of retention of clients overall? How important is it that we just communicate really transparently that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So the other thing that I do is when I do have clients that keep going, we like look again at their goals as well. And I think sometimes you can feel scared that if you bring these things up, a client might say, well, actually, I don't want to work with you anymore. I've come to realize, but actually
I had this epiphany, I'm done.
Yeah.
This is such a good point.
It allows them to like look at what's next.
Yeah. And that fear, because you are right, as you're saying that's really hitting home. I see this a lot. People are almost really scared to tempt fate by opening any tiny chink of armor that might give their client an out. And it's a little bit like that desperation and scarcity mindset that stops us enrolling new clients, because it does. People will run a mile from that sort of desperation. I think it also has that same backfiring effect in terms of retaining clients. I think if you are brave enough to be that transparent and maybe even, keep checking in, is this still working for you? Is this still the right kind of engagement? You're probably going to get more customer loyalty, wouldn't you say?
So I think the more bold and transparent you are in your communication, and it's also things like making your diary work for you, for example. So I had a client once who said to me, a new client, she said, I can only do Friday at 9:00, right? And I wanted to go to CrossFit, if I'm going to be honest. So I said, I can only do Wednesdays at 5. And she went, okay, I'll do Wednesday at 5. Yeah. Because otherwise what happens is that you become resentful, and there's like these like little niggly things underneath your relationship. And it's the same with things like asking about goals, finishing engagements to restart again. It's being really clear and saying what you need and what you want. And that it helps the relationship. Because these relationships are just like any relationship you have with friends.
In real life. Absolutely.
The more straight you are with people, how's how I find. Sometimes people get upset, but the more straight you are with people, it also helps with expectations as well. Like they know what you're going to say. You're not up and down, like they don't have to gauge you. It helps.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I think as well, there is something about this transparency. That's what I'm getting from this, is that if you can be brave enough to be completely honest and transparent, your clients respect you for it and actually trust you more. They're much more likely to believe that you have their best interest at heart, and they're much more likely to stick around.
No, that thing about trust is so important. I think that you've made a really good point, because if I say to one of my clients, I can't make Thursday, they know it's a genuine reason. They know that whatever I say, they can believe because of all the past things I said and what I've done. Like if I say to them, I'll see you on Thursday at 5, they know I'll be there. And there's that trust there, and they're more likely to stay with you and also refer their friends and family to you because they know that you're reliable.
That's a really good point. The point around referrals and customer service. I mean, we know that those are linked for sure. Can you talk a little bit to that in terms of your experience in business?
I think that when you first start a business, it's tough because people don't know you and what you're about. But once you start getting into your business and you do have that excellent customer service, they want their friends and family to experience it as well. Like they've got great results with you and they've got a great experience with you. And they know that, if I hand you my friends and family, you're going to give them a great experience as well. Like they're not going to come back at me and say, that Becca, what's she doing? And so then it's easier to build your business because we all know that warm leads, friends and family,
referrals are the best business.
They're the best business, yeah. Because they're already enrolled, they're already ready to go because your client has already had that conversation with you.
Yeah. Your client has already sold you to them. And do you know what's interesting with that? I sometimes think that it isn't just about the results that the client got with you that makes them refer. So by that, I mean, like, some clients could have got great results from coaching with you or from working with you, but actually their experience in terms of the customer service was a little bit ad hoc. They didn't always feel completely cared for, but they got the results. They got the results they wanted. So they're kind of happy on one level, but those clients aren't necessarily going to refer you. It's actually the softer part, the way they've been taken care of and the way that they've been looked after. That's the bit that will have them refer you. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's funny because I've literally written a blog about this in the last few weeks.
Oh, really? Oh, if it's ready, can I link to it in the...
Oh, no, you can indeed. Yeah, you can. Because, it's really true that, like I put a reference in the blog, I give an example of, I've done a 12-week transformation before and I got really good results. And I learned lots about myself. I learned lots about nutrition, about exercise. But at the end, I didn't want to continue because I didn't feel like I got that connection like that. And it is that connection.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you want to work with people that you like. When I see my clients every week, it's like seeing my friends. Like when we did the academy, when we finished, I was, where are my friends gone?
Right. And that's why we did the alumni group as well, because like no one wants to say goodbye.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, that's the sign of a really good community feel, isn't it, really? It isn't about how often people are posting in a group. It's about how much you still want to be in each other's lives and have each other as support. And I think that is incredibly important. Is that something that you ever go into with clients in terms of, you know, community building as being the first part of that customer service, I guess?
I think communities are such a great way to, and when I say keep clients, I don't want, it's not like your intention is to manipulate or anything like that. It's like you want your clients to get the best results. And I think in communities, what I find, and from what I've done previously, and probably what you found in the coaching academy, is that people get better results because when they gel together, they help each other out, they talk to each other, they spur each other on. You know, if someone's done something well, congratulate them. Like that's what I found in communities are such a good way to keep people and also to build more business. Because I found that people just kind of sold to each other as well. Like, oh, have you done the alumni? Or have you signed up for this?
Yeah, exactly. And people want to stay together. If they formed good bonds, good relationships, they want to stay together. They want to be part of each other's journey moving forward. I'm a big fan. And I think this, just looping back actually to, you know, it's okay for a client to come to the end of one coaching engagement. It's okay to round that off and let that be done. But also it's a really smart business move to have a what's next. What's the natural next thing that you could offer those clients when that engagement is done? And is it some kind of group experience? Is it a community? Is that something that you see being of value to the kind of clients that you work with to actually have some sort of accountability, I guess, for that next stage?
Yeah, and I think everyone's different because you'll probably find this in your business that some people really thrive on a one-to-one basis and other people thrive on a community. But I definitely think it's worthwhile making sure that you have a continuation when people work with you. Because otherwise it kind of feels like with the, I'll go back to the academy, feels like when we finish, like you're on a cliff edge.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not jumping by myself.
If that was it, if that was the rug pulled, that would not feel fulfilling, would it? And it's almost like, so what is the natural next step? Okay, you've gone through the academy, you've got all the tools, you've got the resources, you've set up all your assets and processes, but now you've got to do it. And I want to be around for that part of it too, to support through that part of it too. So yeah, I think that's really, really important. And I think that just applies to everyone, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's where you come back to the customer service because you're looking at what's best for my client, what's best for the customer.
Yes, absolutely.
And actually, I think sometimes we feel like we don't want to ask them to join in again, or we don't want to ask, but actually it's better for the customer because that client wants to work with you. And so it's giving them that opportunity to do what's next for them and progress and to grow.
And if you truly want that for them, if you truly want what's right for them, I think it's really doing them a disservice to not have the next thing to offer them. I think it's absolutely the right thing to do. Yeah, I completely agree.
There's the really inner bit of customer service. It's like, what's the best thing for my client? I think if you're asking that question, that is the gold.
I think you're right. And that isn't the same question as what do I want to offer? That's a really different question. And I think there's a lot of people who come at it from what's the latest trend? What's the latest? Oh, everyone's offering this, so I need to offer that. Whereas you're absolutely right. If the question you're asking is what's the next right thing for my clients? That's when you're into the gold, like you say. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that. Slight change of tack now, but one of the things I know that you really are quite a specialist in is the communication side of things. That's something that you've done a lot of work around. And I'm just thinking, what happens in terms of retaining clients and things? What happens when things haven't gone maybe as perfectly as you would like them to in an ideal world with the way that you've treated a client or the way that maybe you've made a mistake, maybe your system's broken down, maybe something's happened that's left a client feeling a little bit underserved or a bit disgruntled. What is your advice for people around that, around the more difficult conversations that they have to have with clients?
I think even though it's difficult, always take accountability. So one of the things that you mentioned is your clients know that life happens. Yeah. So
that's true.
Sometimes the internet goes down. Sometimes you can't load up. Like sometimes I find with Skype, I need to download Skype again. And I'm like literally a minute until I need to be on this call. Yeah. And I think it's being accountable and saying sorry. I know I'm late for this call. This is what I'm going to do about it. Are you happy to go until this time? Yeah, it's just being really like open and vulnerable with that person. And I know it's really difficult because we don't want it to be like our fault and all that uncomfortable feelings and like listen to what other people have to say. And
yeah. Also, I think there is this little bit with some business owners of, well, I have this kind of status that I need to keep up. I'm a business owner. I can't be like that vulnerable and I can't show any chinks in my armor. But actually, I think that's the route to disaster, isn't it, in terms of customer service?
Yeah, I also find as well, I don't know whether you find this, but once you start opening up to other people, you become vulnerable, you own your mistakes, and they will start doing the same to you. People start to respect you more. And even though you think that they're going to respect you less, they respect you more because you're not trying to like cover it up and sweep it under the carpet. They think you're human as well.
Exactly. People are just human. Everyone makes mistakes, and it's how you then deal with them, isn't it, that gives a lasting impression to your client. And I think, going back to what we were saying actually about whether a client will recommend you to their friends and family, I think how you rectify a mistake in your business can actually be an incredibly powerful tool in your toolbox in terms of getting referrals. I think this is incredibly true. Dave and I once had this car, this Honda, and we had so much trouble with it. It was quite a new car. It was one of those cars that was cursed from the beginning, I think. And it was just constantly in the garage. But you know what? Their service was so good. In the end, that needed a new engine. And in fact, Honda it was out of warranty, but they still put it right. And I said to Dave, you know what? I don't want that car anymore. It's been nothing but trouble. Let's get a new car. But I would totally have another Honda. Because to me, the service that they gave was so good. I didn't want to go to another garage. I didn't want a different people. I didn't really care that much about the car. I'm not really a car person. But I wanted to keep hold of that level of customer service.
Yeah, because as well, like what bad customer service is. The fact that you can get hold of them, the fact that they'll fix the problem, the fact that you come back and they don't go, oh, not you again.
Yeah, and that they took accountability and they were like, this is terrible. We're so sorry this is happening. They were just so open and so apologetic and so efficient at putting things right every time. Because they did keep going wrong with that bloody car. But it was just one of those cursed cars, I think.
Efficiency as well. You said the word efficiency. And I think that's the other thing. It's like when something does not go to plan, like everything does, is being efficient about it.
Yeah.
Not waiting around.
Don't wait around. Fix it quickly. Take accountability. Yeah, totally agree.
And there's another important bit at the end, which is what you're going to do next time. So it doesn't happen again. And I think that's sometimes where people miss that out, but that then gains more trust in you because this is what I'm going to put in place for next time. And then after that, you need to remember that people still may feel a bit on edge, depending on what it was, may feel a bit on edge because things I don't know how you felt about your Honda, kept going wrong. You're like, I'm just waiting for it to go wrong again. And then you have to build the trust up again.
Yeah, we definitely had that conversation of, are we being stupid here? Like getting into the car, like what if the same thing happens? But I said to Dave, well, if the same thing happens, we're going to get the exact same amazing service and they will put it right. And I would rather, I think buying any car, any car could be one of those cars that just keeps going wrong. It wasn't an inherent Honda fault. It was that car fault. And I think they'd built up enough trust with me that I was willing to take that risk to have the peace of mind that knowing if anything does go wrong in the future, that's how they're going to sort it out. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for me, it was worth it. Definitely. So just thinking then, in general, client retention and this whole concept of how we spend so much of our time chasing new clients, looking for new clients, marketing to new clients. And I think you and I are both on the same page where we agree that actually, if we turn inwards and look at serving our existing clients at such a high level that they want to stay with us, they want to buy more programs from us, invest in more coaching with us, what would you say to someone who's listening to this and thinking, gosh, you know what? My eye is always on the new. It's always on the new. But so what can I actually do? What do I actually do to turn my sight inwards? What would your advice be? Maybe a couple of things that you would say that people could start actioning now to really look at the way they're serving their clients.
I think one of the things is value. Like, what value you're giving to your current clients. Just give more. Just overvalue to your clients. And not like run yourself into the ground, but look at things like what would make an even bigger difference to them. Maybe it's a book you've read that you want to recommend to them. Maybe you've seen a podcast that you want to recommend to them. Maybe it's just something that that they'll appreciate it and that will help them progress.
Yeah. Something personalised for them as well, I think is beautiful. And I also think, that's such a good point, because isn't it that element of surprise as well? If it's something they weren't expecting, it has almost like double the value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another thing I think is the things that we've mentioned. So being really clear with people.
So communication.
Yeah, remembering things about people. So for example, one of the reasons I did your program was because I had looked at other programs. Mm-hmm. And for those who are listening who don't know, but I have a 15-month-old son. And every time I come on, you always ask about him. And I think that to me is so important.
Who wouldn't? Harry is gorgeous.
Yeah. But it's remembering those things and asking about those things that has people create that connection. Like every time I can see my clients, I will ask them about, oh, you mentioned you're doing this weekend. How was it? Or you said that it was your birthday. How did your birthday? Just like little things.
Such a small thing, but actually such a big thing. Yeah.
It's remembering those personal details. And I put in one of my blogs, like, don't be a stalker about it. Okay. But
yeah, don't get weird.
Yeah, don't get weird. But mentioning those little things that people get that personal connection.
That's so funny. Do you know, I have to share another story with this, because when you said that, I used to literally weird out my co-workers when I worked in insurance by doing everything I could to find out their parents' names and then keep using their parents' names. Like, how's Alison and June? Like, I don't know why that's just come to my mind, that any of my ex-co-workers who are listening are going to be laughing at that, because whenever someone new started, they were like, do not let her know your parents' names, because she just weirds us all out with it. Yeah, so yes to the personal touch. Don't get weird.
No, don't get weird.
That's a very good top tip to start wrapping up on, I think. So be personal, remember things, deliberately remember things. And actually, do you know what? If you're genuinely interested in your clients and who you work with, so if you're working with people that you love to work with, it happens naturally, doesn't it? But I think it is worth pointing it out and just saying how that, the fact that that was one of the contributory things to you signing up for the academy is that's a powerful testimony to how important that kind of thing is, isn't it? And I mean, you are an absolute gem at this topic. I could talk to you for ages about this, because I think this natural progression of your own journey of having your own personal training business, realizing how good your client retention was and how that positions you as such an expert in coaching people with that kind of business, or gym owners, that is fitness industry people, but really anyone with a business is going to benefit from this kind of coaching. It's really important. So I want to thank you so much for coming on and talking about it.
No, thank you as well. I've really enjoyed having this conversation with you, Jill. And I think you're so good at this like relationship building and customer service as well. So I think that's probably what attracts me to you as well, like that shared love.
Yeah, we've got a lot in common around that. I think we've got shared values, and we always say, don't we, that our best clients are the ones whose values align with our own. Amazing. Thank you so much. And I will see everyone back here, same time, same place next week. But for now, Becca, thank you for being with me.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that getting our heads together this week has filled your mind with what's possible. If you love the show, would you do me a massive favour, please? Would you leave a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts? It would really help me put more heads together, reach more ears and expand more minds. Until next week, bye for now.